November the 9th, the day after the election. Was it a red wave? Well, let's get into it. So let's go. Welcome to the Brandont T show, where we talk about everything that's important to the working man. And we're not politically correct here. So working man means men, women, whoever's out here getting it. We come to deliver the news that's important to y'all. And with that said, this is the Working Man Committee. How's it going? Election night. Interesting place. Now, the results are coming in, still coming in, but it's supposed to be a red wave. Now, why is there even talk of a red wave? A lot of things were happening, a lot of talk. Pundits and so forth were saying, hey, just because of this. And let me give you a recap of what was actually said. Let's go to Fox News. Dana, tell us what Carl said. Let's go.
In the Wall Street Journal today, what to expect in the 2022 midterms. You said the midterms gravitational forces, inflation, the economy, crime, border security, Mr. Biden's approval rating, voters' feelings about the direction of the country is headed, all work to the Republicans' advantage. Now, Carl, do we...
Yeah, so people in turn would take all that and say, hey, the GOP must be taking it all. Who would vote for a Democrat after that? Looking at what was happening. But, you know what? My theory is this, right? Over 2020, let's go back to 19, right? We go to 19, you know what I'm saying? Everything good, you know what I'm saying? People working and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Then 2020 happened and so forth. And from 2020 to 2021, people moved around. Work from home. Everybody go home, take your computer home, take all that stuff, plug your internet, hope your internet work, and then go. And then people started looking around like, I don't want to be working in my living room. I need me some space. And then, like I said, a lot of people looked outside. It's too cold. I want warmer. You know what? I want to do something different. And people start moving around. North to south and so forth. And east to west. And there was a report that says there were a couple states that people were moving to. And that was, big states were Florida, Georgia, Texas, and Nevada. That people were migrating to since 2020. And then those in turn, looks like that movement and so forth might have changed the red wave. Because, you know, people don't move. You look, you know what I'm saying, you're on your Zillow or whatever app you use, you know what I'm saying, or you talk to a realtor, you're looking for a place. And I don't know if you're really like, what district am I in? And what's the district made of? It's more like, you're looking at a school district, not election district. And then you're like, all right, where can I get a bang for my buck? It's like, hey, this neighborhood dilapidated, but they're taking houses down over there. Like, oh, let me get in now. And I think a lot of that happened. And then a lot of that changed electric and so forth. Yep, but like, it's one of those things. But you know, but if you look at the pundits, you've seen a lot of blame at Trump and the MAGA, of the MAGA candidates. Just like, here, take a look at this.
Just left before we heard John Carl say that Donald Trump was the biggest loser of the night. Do you agree?
Oh, there's no question. Look, the big problem is that in every one of these races where, given the atmosphere, both inside these states and nationally, where Republicans should have picked up, they lost because we had inferior candidates. Mitch McConnell previewed this over the summer with his concerns about Senate candidates in particular, and almost every one of these Trump-endorsed candidates that you see in competitive states have lost. And it's a huge loss for Trump. And again, it shows that his political instincts are not about the party. They're not about the country. They're about him.
Yeah, so if you look, like I said, little Monday morning quarterbacking, and so I got an interesting story here. And I'm a little surprised by this, but maybe not. You know what I'm saying? People in the political arenas, you know what I'm saying, it's all about who's next and who's around and so forth. Check this out. A little surprised. Very surprised, actually. Here. Trump's one-time White House chief of staff says that former president is not doing very well on midterms and that Ron DeSantis could beat him in 2024. Yes. Yes, Mick Mulvaney said that. He was a chief of staff for Trump. And he says the Florida governor, DeSantis, defeated Democrat Charlie Crist on Tuesday. Landslide in Florida. Yes. Side note, Charlie Crist has been trying to run for governor for a while. Charlie Crist, he was governor one term, and then he switched parties. So he went from Democrat to Republican and lost. Then he went to Republican Independent and tried again and lost. And then he ran as a Democrat this time and lost. Lost big. So I'm like, but they keep running him though. Like, Charlie, don't nobody like you, buddy. And so Mick Mulvaney thinks Ron DeSantis is a better candidate than Trump. Now, Florida's an interesting place. Like I said, Florida, Ron won some areas that normally don't be won by Republicans. Ron pretty much run the whole state. The whole state is red in the governor's race. I'm like, what the world's happening here? But hey, they like the way Ron kept the schools open during 2020. How he didn't really shut down that much and so forth. He didn't step on people's liberties and so forth, as people were saying. He didn't make a bunch of mandates for this, that, and third. And I guess the residents down there and the new residents that moved down there because of freedom of motion during the 2021 pandemic also played into that race. But hey, Mick, I'm surprised you said it though. You know how Trump is. Trump don't let them jabs go by lightly. But we'll keep up and see what Trump does say. There was candidates that Trump backed, right? And there's a lot of them that did not do well, but it wasn't all bad for Trump and the candidates he endorsed. But Trump washed his hands of the losing Senate candidates that he did endorse. He's like, oh, you lost? Hey, I ain't got nothing for you. No love, no nothing. I can't believe you was even thinking about running. But he can hang his hat on Ted Budd in North Carolina. He was a Trump endorsed candidate, and he pulled it out. But like I said, in a handful of House seats that Trump endorsed. But then, like I said, the rest of them kind of didn't go that well. But like I said, Trump, whoever likes Trump, or Trump, whoever go kiss the ring, Trump, he'll probably endorse you. And so forth. And I think that a lot of that happened, then they actually find somebody that actually can win. Because I do believe Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania, I think Trump somehow endorsed him, and I don't know who in the world let Dr. Oz run, but Dr. Oz did not win his Senate seat. And so forth. But we're going to continue the coverage. Because like I said, the storyline now on the Republican side is going to be who needs Trump. That's going to be the storyline. The leadership over there have been waiting for this moment to prove that Trump has no power over the party or a benefit to the party. Oh. And then election coverage, right? We're going to move on to election coverage. Election coverage is an interesting place. Depends on who is up, determines what network is happy. Yeah. Or like, oh my God, what's happening here? So, we got a little bit of a montage. I got a little montage for you. I'm showing you coverage from Fox, CNN, and MSNBC. Let's go.
Competitive House districts. John, clear favorites. Republicans, even now as we approach 2 a.m., are clear favorites to win a House majority, but it's a big but. There is still a small possibility, modest possibility, I shouldn't call it small, modest possibility Democrats could hold their majority. Did you think we would be having that conversation?
No, this is a big but.
At 2 o'clock in the morning. And if Republicans do win the majority now, because we're getting fewer and fewer races still on the board, it's likely to be a more narrow majority. Here's another way to look at it.
Interesting, we're looking at Miami-Dade looking very much like the rest of Florida, and Florida's starting to look like a red state.
Right, but Florida is a red state. I mean, I think I've said this before. I mean, the challenge is Miami-Dade has been trending Republican for a really long time. It's been slowly slipping toward the Republican Party, and it is a 70+% Hispanic county, but of the people who are Hispanic in that county, the vast majority are Cuban American. That is a very conservative population. That, that county remained Democratic in the 2008 and 2012 elections because of one thing, Barack Obama.
Well, the red wave has not materialized in the House yet, but you know where it did materialize? The great state of Florida. The cover of the New York Post says young GOP star DeSantis romps to victory in Florida. DeSantis is the future because it looks like he will win by about 20 points, which is...
Yeah, I know, right? Up and down. So you could tell who was feeling what they thought red wave was gonna be, and who was hoping that red wave was not gonna be there. And there's a little. I'm gonna add this in here. Election coverage. This one was a little interesting. If y'all watch ABC News, you might not have seen George Stephanopoulos there leading the anchor desk like he's done before. George, what's going on, buddy? What happened? Well, it looks like David Mueller happened. See, David Mueller is a little rising star over there, and he took on the primetime show on ABC, and then they're letting David Mueller do more. As is this ABC News coverage of the 2020 midterm election Tuesday evening. Its live desk will feature notable absence George Stephanopoulos. Was not there on the live desk. George was. Yes. ABC top political anchor and host, both of Good Morning America this week, will not be involved in the broadcast night coverage after leading in both 18 and 20. In a press release this week, let's see, election night coverage will instead be led by World News Tonight anchor David Mueller. The change has left some ABC News staffers baffled, with several noted to the Daily Beast how George Stephanopoulos, former Clinton White House senior advisor and long-term political pundit, is considered among the most famous journalists on TV. See, they don't need the old guard no more. That's why George ain't there no way, the old guard. See, George was in the Clinton White House as senior advisor, and then press secretary, and then somehow they put him. He went from that job to being on this show and interviewing candidates, and he could interview the Republicans. He went hard on Republicans. Low, you know what I'm saying? He softball the Democrats and go hard on the Republicans, and so forth. Like I said, it's funny, but like I said, things change finally. Yep, put George Stephanopoulos. It's almost, but then there's a little slight note that there's been a little bit of a rivalry between George and David, and David kind of elbowed him out the way for the coverage. Who knows? Let's see what happens with that. Yeah. Ooh. Now, this one, I thought we would this one was beat during the Civil War. But I guess not. Slavery rejected by 4 state voters. A measure approved Tuesday could curtail the use of prison labor in Alabama, Oregon, Tennessee, and Vermont. I thought you know what I'm saying? But like I said, if you go back to the Constitution, it says that slaves can't be held by people, but the state could do what they want to do. Put you in jail and make you work, hard labor. Now, I'm a little taken back by this one. And it's like, what is this law for, right? What is this ballot measure we put on? I mean, there's no slaves now, but I mean, I understand if we want to get rid of prison labor and so forth, or forced labor, paying those guys pennies to do hard labor. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. If that was the case, but I don't know. I don't know if this was like a pandering move, or if it was really something else. I mean, but this has kind of been, like I said, this has kind of been a little thing, right? You know what I'm saying? Voters in Colorado became the first to approve removal of slavery extensions language in its state constitution back in 2018, following Nebraska and Utah 2 years later. So, I mean, they've been pulling it out. Now, is that critical race theory been helping? Making people, you know what I'm saying, realize that, you know what I'm saying, there's still some drawers of stuff that still need to be cleaned out? I don't know. This is just, like I said, it's one of those things where it could be necessary to do it, could not be necessary, could be guilt, or, you know what I'm saying, maybe, you know what I'm saying, we're going to take this point, clean slate, and so forth, because you got to say, Juneteenth was the holiday was marked when Biden got in there and created a holiday for it, get a day off work, but it didn't come with any resources or carve outs or anything for anything. But I don't know. That's something to be delved into. Well, whatever your opinion is on that, you know what I'm saying, let us know in the comments. But like I said, this notable races and candidates. Dr. Oz was running in Pennsylvania. I don't know who selected him. Not a very good candidate, I thought. I thought it was a joke. But hey, Dr. Oz was out there. Next one is going to be, I'm tripped out by what's happening in Georgia. Herschel Walker and Warnock. Now these two guys scandaled up. We're going to see who wins that one. And I want to talk about these two different states. What happened in Georgia and Texas. And Beto O'Rourke and Stacey Abrams. Now, both of these candidates have gotten money from the party, Democratic Party. And both of these candidates have won nothing. And so I'm thinking that the party probably felt like they might have owed Stacey Abrams a little something for her hard work helping getting the Democrats to win the Senate seats at that time in the last election. And so they're like, all right, you can run against Kemp. We're going to give you $35 and so forth. And she lost, again, the governor's race. And so I'm like, maybe she could have done better in the Senate race. than the governor's race. But they're like, hey, go run for senator, go run for governor. We'll see if you can beat Kemp or not. Good luck. Then Beto O'Rourke, he's ran a bunch of times. That's high profile. So he ran against, he ran for the Senate and lost. Then he runs for governor and lost. And both times he raised a lot of money for these failed attempts. And so the question I have is, Republicans running Oz, Democrats running Stacey Abrams and Beto O'Rourke for things. Are these just bones y'all throwing, or y'all really thought these people had a chance? That's the question I have. Are these just bones? Okay, you toed the line a little bit, so we'll let you run on a race we really don't care about. Or so forth. But I don't know. We have to think about that at another point. And side note, I want to talk about Raleigh, North Carolina, mayor's race. And so the triangle area is blue area. You look at the map right here, and it's very blue in the triangle. But so that means that all the candidates with the D side of their name did well, besides mayor. Now the question I have is, so the mayor race, with Marianne being an independent and running against Terrence, a Democrat, and Terrence lost. Even though a lot of people did not like Marianne because she was the incumbent, and it can be said that she was a bad mayor, didn't nobody like her policies, and she was over her head. But somehow, in a very blue area, Terrence is an African American man, lost to an independent white lady. Now, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound like it should have went that way just because of the triangle being so blue. But maybe we're not as progressive as we are, or maybe we're too progressive in this area. But anyway, with that being said, we'll move on. This election here, I think that waves of any type probably won't be a thing anymore. Because redistricting, right? You know what I'm saying? These politicians get in here and draw these districts. Like, draw a circle around here, draw a circle around over there. Like, okay, that only works for election. And then, like I said, with all the migration, I'm going to call it migration, because people move around, cheaper, cost of living, better weather, and so forth, funner cities and so forth, and people start moving around. You know, those maps that were drawn are different now, because you got different people coming in, and then, like I said, you might have a Republican neighborhood, and now Democrats moved in, and now Democrats are or the majority of what you try to draw, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? You got a whole, you know what I'm saying, traditionally Democrats, they're both Democrats, and a whole bunch of Republicans moved in because of, you know what I'm saying, because the houses are better, gentrification, anything. And like I said, that in turn will stop any type of waves. And so it's going to be like, what's going to happen? We're going to have a shift. I see a shift coming to tighter, you know what I'm saying, tighter majorities, like I said, and the House and Senate will be closer. It won't be 60 votes here, 60 or 70 or whatever there. And so, with that being said, we're gonna continue our election coverage, and we're gonna keep you updated. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what more results are coming on the next show. And with that said, this has been the Working Man Committee, and I am your host, Brandont T, of the Brandont T Show. See you. Peace.